can be refueled in the air, giving them virtually unlimited range. As part of Operation Desert Storm, PSYOPs broadcasts helped persuade Iraqi troops to surrender. But Operation Uphold Democracy in Haiti in October 1994 is its biggest success so far. The US military's mission was to back ousted President Jean-Bertrand Aristide in overthrowing the de facto military regime. Commando Solo broadcast messages in Creole. Appeals for calm were interspersed with news panel discussions and local music. Other broadcasts were aimed at stemming refugee flotillas. Messages informed them that they would not be allowed to enter the United States.
We were able to turn off the refugees, prepare the country, and to provide an alternative to invasion so that when Aristide did return, it was a peaceful return of a legitimate power. And that is the ultimate goal of psychological operations. We were able to basically win a contingency, I wouldn't call it a war, without firing a shot.
But this system does have its limitations. Anyone can turn off the propaganda by turning off their radio or television. The ultimate weapon in the info war would be so secret, so invisible, so undetectable, you would never know your mind was under attack. At Laurentian University in Ontario, Canada, a young student is about to undergo one of the strangest experiences of her life. They're hooking Denise's brain up to an electroencephalograph, or EEG machine. For 30 to 40 minutes, this will monitor her brainwaves, while these electric coils attached on either side of her head will immerse her brain in an electromagnetic field. Her brain actually completes the circuit between the two coils. The field pulsing through her brain is less powerful than one given off by a digital clock radio, but acutely controlled and focused at specific parts of the brain, it will open Denise's mind to outside suggestion by this man.
We're going to do a switch to see if it's right or left hemisphere. Use your frontal temporal.
Dr. Michael Persinger is a professor of psychology and neuroscience. He is designing ways to put the power of mind control to good use. Dr. Persinger's research focuses on brain trauma, and he uses carefully controlled doses of electromagnetic radiation to induce relaxation and alleviate pain.
So what Sandra did was to initiate a opiate releasing pattern. That's a burst firing field that is stimulated once every 4 seconds. And that produces relaxation and a very pleasant sensation. Similarly, using the appropriate field, we can induce fear and apprehension, but clearly that would be unethical in that setting.
Dr. Persinger's tests suggest that carefully programmed electromagnetic frequencies can tap into individual brains and influence people's emotions.
The cognitive processes of the human brain are really quite simple. And if you understand how they work, you can make entire populations think and decide the manner in which you wish.
Many experts are skeptical of such an Orwellian scenario, but Persinger thinks the implications are chillingly real.
Suppose you generate a field that produces fear, fundamental fear, in large numbers of people. And then, over the television, more traditional ways, you say, the reason we're having this fear is because of this particular group. And now you start to move the population believing in a direction that you wish.
To influence 250 million people, the equivalent of the entire population of the United States, may not be that difficult. According to Dr. Persinger, we already have the technology, satellites and television and radio transmitters. Mind control may already be happening. We know the mysterious PSYOPs plane can beam persuasive sounds and pictures into people's television sets. Will it someday beam disturbing frequencies directly into the mind? Mind control will be the ultimate non-lethal weapon. The prospect of a war without pain or death, where victory comes without a single shot being fired, should be a cause for jubilation. smart military technologies and non-lethal weapons could at least prevent the awful carnage of large-scale head-to-head combat. What then can we expect of war in the 21st century? Which will frighten us more, the threat of unspeakable destruction from plasma cannons and lasers on high, or the prospect of national computer crashes? Paradoxically, the promise of truly bloodless war may come only with the most devastating weapon of all. If the human mind and will become the battleground of the future, War 2020 may be won without so much as a whimper, let alone a bang.
Will it ever be possible to read the thoughts and feelings of another human being? Maybe even put ideas into their head to have them do our bidding? Science is finding a way. In a strictly therapeutic context, Dr. Mark George uses magnetic stimulation to treat depression.
So if you look at the thumb,
it's a powerful demonstration that our minds can come under outside influence.
It looks very promising now that we can use this by stimulating over the prefrontal cortex to influence mood both in pathologic states like depression or even in healthy controls. We can subtly cause people to be happier or sadder.
The technology was first used to explore how the brain controlled movement. But more and more, doctors are using magnetic brain stimulation to help lift the spirits of depressive patients.
Plenty there.
But could it be used to plant specific ideas into a person's head?
What we're doing is we are either heightening or diminishing regional activity in our brains, and our brains obviously have mechanisms to regulate moods, just as we regulate our heart rate or other things. And what we're beginning to do is to be able to use this to understand those regulatory systems and kind of push them one way or another.
But what about the possibility of reading people's thoughts? Using brain imaging tools, doctors can observe the brain activity associated with specific thoughts or behaviors.
It would be possible to not only read the emotional states, but perhaps to induce the emotional states by turning on or off certain regions and then also taking a picture. So
they call it psychotronic warfare. It's a research program dealing with mind control. These bastards have finally decoded the human brain. Every emotion we have, every thought that we experience, they produce evoked potentials, little electrical impulses firing in the brain. These spooks have developed a weapon that can lock onto those impulses, read them, and then control them remotely.
It would be possible to not only read the emotional states, but perhaps to induce the emotional states by turning on or off certain regions and then also taking a picture. So although we don't have the ability right now to take a map of the brain and say whether someone's happy or sad or angry, that's not far away, I don't think.
Cheryl Welsh maintains that the U.S. government is testing mind control on unknowing victims.
Well, basically, I'm networking on the internet, and this is a worldwide international problem. The International Red Cross has a 1990 article which discusses the fact that many major superpowers, many industrialized countries, are researching electromagnetic technology for anti-personnel uses, and the technology is highly classified.
Cheryl believes that she and others are the victims of this mind control research.
Many of the victims that I network with describe hearing voices and microwave illness, where they have headaches, just generally sleep disturbances, sunburns even though it's at night, just microwave effects.
Microwaves and other radio frequencies are known to affect the human body. But could they be responsible for voices in people's heads? In Chicago, Illinois, a world authority on microwave hearing shows how it could work.
I'm hearing a microwave pulse like a click. Now it sounds like a chirp. with a tonal quality to it.
Professor James Lynn is hearing sounds that aren't there. But he's not crazy. Pulses of microwave energy are being generated and fired at him from behind.
Microwaves can be heard depending on the individual, depending on the hearing acuity of the individual. Individuals with a fairly normal hearing can hear microwaves at quite a low level.
Voices. That's how they get you. The spooks have developed a technology called synthetic telepathy. They beam a frequency at you and let your skeleton conduct the voices like an antenna. Sounds like ghosts inside of you. They've targeted individuals for experimentation.
The energy of the absorbed microwaves causes brain tissue to very slightly heat up and expand, causing a pressure wave to be picked up by the hearing mechanism in the inner ear. Professor Lynn is far from hearing voices, but it could be possible to send coded signals to an agent this way.
Brain is an electrical organ. It is susceptible to electrical signals. Since microwave is electrical, therefore, in principle, one could embed or encode information in the microwave signal such that it could be perceived by the brain.
This man, Dr. Joseph Pompey, who's got a thing about annoying people with sound.
Hey, you. Ma'am, please wake up. No sleeping in the library.
Most people of his age don't know much about sound. The most antisocial they can get is turning their car's hi-fi up in a quiet neighborhood. But Dr. Pompey has studied sound for so long he's got letters after his name, and he came up with something a bit better.
That's not a speaker system. Now this is a speaker system.
The whole idea of his sound spotlight system is to make sure that only one person can hear him, even though they're 20 meters away.
Hey, you there. You on the laptop. Are you downloading illegal files to the library network? I hope not. Hey, you there, studying. Miss, can you hear me? I think it's time for a break. Hey, you. Looking at CDs. We're watching.
Taking the mickey out of innocent readers might seem a bit childish, but there's a reason why Dr. Pompey comes here to test his kit.
A library is about the most sensitive area you can think of for background noise and generating sound that people don't want to hear. But with the audio spotlight, we can deliver sound specifically directly to people within the library without bothering the other people that are reading quietly. One of the things is we can bring in a couple of Latin dancers, send them some hot salsa music. They can dance all they like in the middle of the library to all the music that they want without bothering the other people nearby who want to sit, read, or work quietly.
The system works like this. First, your voice is transformed into high-frequency ultrasound, sound so high no one can hear it. Ultrasound is highly directional, so, like a torch, it can be pointed at someone standing a long way away. Although they cannot hear the ultrasound, it causes secondary vibrations in the air around them, and it's that sound the person hears.
So if you imagine you're in a room and I shine a flashlight at you, it's very bright for you, but it's very dark for everybody else. Much the same way, the audio spotlight creates a very narrow beam of sound that you can shine at a listener. They hear it very clearly, and it doesn't create noise that might bother other people in the same space.
It's already being used in museums, and soon Dr. Pompey hopes he'll have his system in TV sets, so that only one person in the room can hear it. The others can get on with something much more boring. But whatever its practical use is, it remains a great toy.
Hey, excuse me, miss. That's a really nice shirt